My dad told me I was selfish for not helping my step-siblings with their rent. So I moved out quietly. Months later, when the electricity was cut at his house, he asked why I didn't warn him. I reminded him who used to pay the bills. My name's Alex, 27, male. And for most of my life I thought I understood what family meant. Not the cheesy Hallmark version, but at least the kind where you've got each other's backs when things get tough. Turns out that definition was one-sided. My dad, Rick, remarried when I was 19, and with that came the bonus family package. Linda, his wife, plus her two kids, Eric, 23, and Megan, 21. From day one, I was more like a built-in wallet than a stepbrother. Rick kept saying, "We're all one family now, Alex. No step this or that, just family." And I wanted to believe him. I wanted to fit into this new unit he was building, so I went along with it. I was working part-time, doing IT gigs while in college, and any extra cash I had seemed to disappear into helping out. The thing is, Eric and Megan never saw me as a brother. To them, I was basically their dad's kid with an annoying work ethic. Eric blew through jobs like he was allergic to a time card, always broke but somehow always had weed money. Megan acted like she was already a socialite, posting grind culture TikToks while asking me to Venmo her for rent because her barista job wasn't her calling. And Rick? He encouraged it. Every time I said no, he'd give me that disappointed sigh, the one that's not loud but cuts straight into your chest. "Alex, you've always been the responsible one. You know they're still figuring life out. You should help, not judge." Like being responsible meant I was contractually obligated to cover everyone else's bad decisions. I can't even tell you how many times my own rent got tight because I spotted theirs. I'd skip eating out, patch my sneakers with glue, just so Eric could keep his crappy apartment another month. And no one said thank you. Not once. It wasn't help. It was expected. The breaking point came last winter. I just finished paying off my student loans, something I'd been grinding toward for years. I wanted to celebrate, maybe put a down payment on a decent car. Instead, Rick cornered me in the kitchen one night, voice low like he was about to deliver some great wisdom. "Son, I heard Eric's 3 months behind. Megan too. They could lose their places. You've got savings now, don't you? Don't be selfish. Family helps family." Selfish. That word punched me harder than anything else. I'd been bailing them out for years while no one, ever offered me a hand. And suddenly, because I wanted to keep something for myself, I was selfish? That night, I decided. I wasn't going to fight. I wasn't going to argue. I was just going to walk away. I didn't pack dramatically, didn't slam doors, didn't make some big speech. That would have just fed Rick and Linda's narrative that I was overreacting. Instead, over the course of 2 weeks, I started moving my stuff out in tiny waves. A box of books here, a suitcase there. Every time Eric was gaming in the living room or Megan was scrolling on the couch, I'd slide another bag into my trunk. I had a small storage unit already, left over from when I moved my mom's things after she passed. That's where I stashed everything. My TV, my computer setup, even the framed photos of my mom that Rick never bothered to hang. By the end of it, my room looked almost normal, just stripped of anything that made it mine. The night I left for good, Linda was upstairs doing one of her wine-fueled bubble baths. Eric was yelling into his headset about being camped by noobs. Megan was FaceTiming some guy, giggling like she was auditioning for The Bachelor. And Rick? He was in the garage, fixing a lawnmower that hadn't worked in 5 years. Nobody noticed when I carried my last duffel out. Nobody cared. I didn't even leave a note. Why should I? If I'd written something heartfelt, it would have been laughed at. If I'd written something angry, it would have been weaponized against me. Silence was better. The first week after I was gone, my phone lit up nonstop. Not from Rick, not from Linda, but from Eric and Megan. Messages like, "Rent's due. Can you spot me just this month? Hey bro, I know you're good with money. Can you Venmo me 400? Promise I'll pay back. Dude, my landlord's being a dick. Help me out." I ignored them. Every ping on my phone felt like a test of my resolve, but I held the line. When Rick finally did call, it wasn't to check if I was okay. It was to say, "Alex, Your siblings said you've been ignoring them. That's not who you are. Don't let money come between family. That sentence, that lecture, snapped something in me. Who I am. No, who I'd been trained to be. The safety net. The fixer. The one who cared while everyone else coasted. So I said nothing. Just listened. Let him fill the silence with his disappointed dad voice, then hung up without responding. Meanwhile, on my end, for the first time in years, I felt light. No more Venmo requests, no more sighs, no more guilt trips because Eric blew his paycheck on vape pods and Megan on fast fashion. My bank account wasn't bleeding out. I bought myself a decent used car. I cooked my own meals. My apartment was tiny, but it was mine. Every corner of it. And yet, I knew it was only a matter of time before they noticed the bigger picture. Because while Rick thought of me as just his responsible son, he never actually handled his own household bills. That had been me too. The electric, the internet, even the damn water bill, I'd been quietly paying them for months without recognition. And one day, the lights would go out. Don't forget to subscribe. The first crack showed about a month later. It started with a text from Linda, the first direct one I'd gotten from her in months. Alex, the Wi-Fi's been acting weird. Can you come by and look at it? Not hi, how are you or we miss you. Just come fix it. Like I was Geek Squad on call. I stared at the message for a while, thumb hovering over my screen, then locked my phone. Let her call the internet provider like the rest of the world. The next week, Eric left a voicemail. His voice was sharp, almost panicked. Bro, the landlord's on my ass about the rent again. If you don't help, I'm literally out. You know Dad's not going to cover me. Don't be a dick. I remember sitting in my car after hearing it, actually laughing out loud. Don't be a dick? I'd been covering his ass for years while he lounged around like rent was some unfair tax on his existence. Now that I wasn't there, he was suddenly aware of what bills felt like. But the real shift came with Rick. For weeks after I left, his calls had the same pattern. Calm voice, carefully worded disappointment, trying to shame me into falling back into place. You've always been the glue, son. Don't let bitterness ruin that. He never once asked me where I was living, if I was safe, if I was happy. It was all about them. Then, one Saturday morning, I got a call I didn't expect. His voice wasn't calm anymore. It was sharp, rattled. Alex, why the hell didn't you tell me the electric bill was due? They sent a shut-off notice. I went to pay it online and the account's gone. What the hell's going on? I didn't answer right away. Just listened to him breathe heavy, like this was some emergency I'd caused. Finally, I said the words I'd been sitting on for weeks. Dad, you do realize I was the one paying all of that, right? Silence. Like the kind that makes your chest feel tight, even though you're not the one caught. Then he snapped, No, don't start with that. I give Linda money for bills every month. Don't act like you've been carrying this house. I felt my jaw clench. Check your records, Dad. My name's on every single payment. Power, internet, water. You didn't notice because you never bothered to look. He cursed, loud enough I had to pull the phone away from my ear. And then, classic Rick, he shifted gears. His voice cracked like he was choking back anger or maybe tears. You're being cruel, Alex. You don't let family drown like this. You could have told me before walking away. That word again. Cruel. Selfish. The family vocabulary whenever I stopped being their safety net. I didn't scream. I didn't explain further. I just said, now you know how it feels, and hung up. For the first time in my life, the silence after one of his calls didn't feel heavy. It felt clean. But I knew Rick. He wasn't going to let this drop. He wasn't the type to absorb responsibility. He was the type to explode. And if I wasn't there to absorb it for him, that explosion was going to get ugly. I thought maybe, just maybe, Rick would finally step up. Pay his own bills, tell Eric and Megan to grow up, handle his damn household like an adult. But I should have known better. The following Thursday, I came home from work to find Rick standing outside my apartment building. Not waiting politely either. He was pacing like a storm cloud, face red, jaw tight. My stomach dropped the second I saw him because this wasn't going to be a talk. This was going to be a scene. Alex, he barked the second I stepped out of my car. Neighbors turned their heads. Great. What the hell do you think you're doing? Leaving us to rot? You think you're some big man now, huh? I tried to keep my voice even. Dad, this isn't the place, let's… But he was already marching toward me. His fist slammed against the hood of my car so hard the metal dented. You don't just walk away from your family. You left Linda crying, Eric begging for help, Megan begging for help? Or begging for handouts? The words came out sharper than I intended. Rick froze, eyes narrowing. Then he shoved me, hard enough that I staggered back into the driver's side door. I caught myself, heart hammering, but didn't retaliate. He wanted me to swing first. That was his game. Make me the aggressor, make me the selfish, ungrateful son in front of whoever was watching. By now, a couple of neighbors had stepped onto their balconies. I saw Mrs. Vasquez from 2B pull out her phone, recording. Rick noticed too, and that only wound him tighter. His voice cracked into this desperate, manic pitch. You think you're better than us? You think you can just disappear and watch us fall apart? You'll regret this, Alex. You'll regret turning your back. I wanted to scream back everything I'd held in for years, that I'd carried his house, paid his bills, funded his new family while he acted like I was some bitter outsider. But I didn't. I just stared at him, silent, while he burned himself out. That silence seemed to hit harder than anything I could have said. He shook his head violently, muttered something under his breath, and stomped off. By the time I made it upstairs, I could still hear his truck tires screeching against the pavement as he tore out of the lot. That night, Megan blew up my phone with texts about how Dad's heart can't take this stress, and if something happens, it's on you. Eric left me a voicemail calling me a traitor. And Linda? She sent me a single chilling message. You're no son of ours anymore. For the first time, it wasn't just guilt tripping. It was exile. They weren't trying to reel me back in. They were cutting me out, sharpening me into the villain. And weirdly, that hurt less than I thought it would. Because villains don't owe anyone a damn thing. But if they wanted to paint me as the villain, then maybe it was time I leaned into it. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Wow, I honestly didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. I figured maybe a handful of people would read it, maybe call me cold or selfish like my dad Rick always does. Instead, I woke up to hundreds of messages, some of you furious on my behalf, some of you telling me to lawyer up, and at least 3 people who said, cut the lights yourself and watch the circus burn. Tempting, very tempting. Couple things I should clear up since a lot of you had questions. 1. Why was I paying the bills in the first place? Good question. The short version is, Rick and Linda are catastrophically bad with money. They fight about it constantly. When I first moved in, I took over the utilities just so the lights wouldn't keep getting cut. 1 month turned into 6, 6 turned into years, and suddenly it was expected. No one even asked anymore, they just assumed I'd cover it. 2. Why didn't I just confront them before moving out? Because every confrontation in that house turned into a 3-against-1 screaming match. Eric would sulk and call me uptight, Megan would fake cry about how hard it is to be young right now, and Rick would play referee until he inevitably turned on me. It was like arguing with a cult. Quietly leaving was the only way I could actually get free. 3. Am I safe after that parking lot scene? Yeah. A couple of neighbors gave me the "we've got your back" talk after Rick left, and one even showed me the video they recorded. If Rick tries to spin this as me being violent, he's going to regret it. Now here's the thing. A lot of you kept saying, don't just go no contact, make them feel it. And I'll be real. That hit me. For months, I've been trying to keep my head down, just live my life. But after seeing Rick scream in my face in front of strangers, after Linda texting me that I was no son of theirs, after Eric and Megan calling me a traitor, I don't just want distance, I want them to choke on the reality of what I used to do for them. So yeah, the electricity shutoff notice was just the beginning. They think I'm the villain? Fine. Villains don't pay bills. Villains don't fix Wi-Fi. Villains let people who called them selfish find out just how much they depended on that selfishness. I'm not going to kick down their door or torch their car. That's not me. But I do have receipts, literal ones. Payment histories, emails, bank statements, proof that for years I was the one keeping that house afloat. And if Rick wants to keep telling everyone his son abandoned him out of nowhere, well, maybe his friends, his coworkers, his church group would love to see the truth. Not sure how far I'll take it yet, but one thing's for sure. I'm done being quiet. After that blow up in the parking lot, I realized something. Rick wasn't scared of losing me. He was scared of being exposed. He'd built this image of himself as the provider, the dependable dad who pulled everyone through tough times. And if the truth came out, that it was actually me, his selfish son, who'd been carrying his household, it would ruin him. So I stopped ignoring his calls. I started letting him talk. Every time he ranted about how real men don't abandon their family, I just let him go, while quietly screen recording. When Linda texted me that I had no idea how hard it is to keep a household running, I took screenshots and paired them with years of utility bills in my name. Receipts on receipts. Eric and Megan were easier. Their Venmo requests were practically confessions. Rent's due again, can you help? Landlord's tripping, I need cash fast. Screenshotted, archived. Every whiny demand saved neatly in a folder I labeled Family Love. But I wanted more than proof. I wanted impact. The opportunity came one Sunday afternoon. A family barbecue at Rick's house. He invited coworkers, neighbors, some church friends. Basically, the entire audience he liked to perform Good Father for. Normally I'd have skipped, but this time I showed up. Quietly. Nobody expected me. Rick was in the backyard, beer in hand, telling a group of guys about how hard it was being the only one holding his family together. How Eric and Megan just needed a little more time. How he'd been covering for everyone, even Alex. That last part made my jaw clench. Covering for me? So I waited. I let him get comfortable, strutting around his grill like a king. Then, when the conversation lulled, I pulled out my phone. Calm voice, steady hands. Funny you'd say that, Dad, I said. Everyone turned. Because according to the utility companies, it wasn't you covering for anyone. I opened the folder. Clicked through bill after bill, my name plastered across each one, while Rick's face turned a shade I'd only seen once, when the car dealer told him his credit wasn't good enough. The silence was brutal. You could hear the sizzle of the burgers on the grill. One of his coworkers muttered, "Damn." Linda tried to swoop in with her sweet fake voice. "Alex, this isn't the time or place." But it was exactly the time and place. Years, Dad. Years of paying your bills, Eric's rent, Megan's late fees, and I was selfish? You want to know why the lights are off now? Because I stopped being your wallet. Rick's hand shook so badly he nearly dropped his beer. Eric muttered something about me being dramatic, but nobody was buying it. The audience mattered too much. Rick's mask had cracked, and everyone saw the man underneath, the one who'd let his son carry him while he pretended to be in charge. I didn't wait for his response. I just dropped the stack of printed bills on the picnic table, nodded at the stunned guests, and walked out. My phone lit up all night afterward. Eric raging, Megan fake crying through voice messages, Linda swearing I'd humiliated them. But Rick? Not a word. And that silence from him? That was louder than any scream. Don't forget to subscribe. The fallout from that barbecue hit faster than I expected. By Monday morning, Rick had already gone into damage control mode. Except instead of apologizing or admitting anything, he doubled down. A coworker of mine sent me a screenshot of a Facebook post Linda had made that morning. It was a picture of their darkened living room with the caption, "Some people would rather see their family suffer than lend a hand. Sad world we live in." The comments were full of sympathy, people calling me ungrateful, spoiled, heartless. She didn't use my name, but she didn't have to. That same afternoon, Rick showed up at my job. He stormed into the lobby like he owned the place, demanding to see me. My manager had to step in when Rick started yelling that his selfish son abandoned his whole family and left them in the dark. Imagine explaining that to your boss, your own dad trying to sabotage your career because you stopped paying his damn electric bill. Security escorted him out, but the damage was done. My coworkers knew way more about my family drama than I'd ever wanted. One of them asked later, gently, if it was true I'd been paying all their bills. I just nodded. He whistled low and said, "Man, no wonder you're done with them. At least somebody got it." Eric and Megan weren't much better. Eric left a voicemail that started with, "Hope you're proud of yourself," and ended with a slamming noise like he threw his phone across the room. Megan spammed me with messages about how Dad had been humiliated, and now he barely came out of his room. Her exact words, "He looks broken, Alex. If he dies from the stress, that's on you." That one stuck with me longer than I'd like to admit. The guilt was still wired deep in me, even after everything. For a minute, I sat there in my apartment staring at the wall, wondering if maybe I'd pushed too far. Then I remembered the parking lot, the dent in my car hood from Rick's fist, the way he'd shoved me, the way he screamed that I'd regret leaving. And the guilt turned into anger all over again. The tipping point came 2 weeks later when I walked outside to find my car keyed from front to back. Not a random act. This was personal. Deep, jagged lines carved into the paint. On the windshield, a note under the wiper in Linda's handwriting. "Family should stick together. Fix this." That was it. No signature, no apology. Just a demand, like always. I stood there in the morning sun, staring at the damage, fists clenched so tight my nails cut into my palms. For years, I'd let them take and take because fighting back felt impossible. Then I'd walked away and they still came after me. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about control. And if Rick wanted to play this game, I was done playing defense. Update 2. So, remember when some of y'all joked in the comments about wait until they trash your car? Yeah. Guess what I woke up to last week? My poor Honda looks like it went around with Wolverine. Deep scratches all along the doors, across the hood, even the trunk. And just in case I was too dumb to connect the dots, Linda left me a note on the windshield that said, "Family should stick together. Fix this. Fix this." Like keying my car was some kind of hallmark reminder. A lot of you said in the first update that Rick wouldn't just take the barbecue humiliation lying down. And damn, were you right. He showed up at my job screaming about how I abandoned them. Linda's been posting cryptic Facebook rants about selfish sons while sharing Bible verses about forgiveness. And Eric and Megan are still spamming my phone with guilt trips like they're on commission. Couple highlights. Eric. "Bro, you ruined Dad's reputation. If he loses his job, it's your fault." Megan. "He barely eats now. If he dies, just know it's on you." Linda. The car note, because apparently vandalism is her love language. And the wild part? I'm not even angry anymore. Not like I was. What I feel now is clarity. They can throw tantrums, they can spin stories, they can slash and scratch. But the truth is they're desperate. They're flailing because the ATM they built their lives around is closed. Some of y'all told me, don't just cut them off, make them choke on the truth. Well, I've been sitting on receipts for years. Utility bills, rent transfers, screenshots, even Rick's drunken voicemail from months ago thanking me for handling everything like a man before he flipped the script and started calling me selfish. And if they want to paint me as the villain, maybe it's time to give them a real villain story. I'm not talking about slashing tires or screaming matches. I'm talking about poetic justice. The kind that sticks. The kind that makes them feel, every day, what it's like to live without me cleaning up their messes. Because here's the thing about villains. They don't fix what other people break. They don't pay bills that aren't theirs. And they sure as hell don't let people key their car and walk away smiling. So yeah, I've got a plan. And this time, it's not just about walking away. It's about making sure they remember exactly who kept that house from collapsing. Stay tuned. I'd been sitting on the receipts for months, but the keyed car made my choice for me. If Rick and Linda wanted to play dirty, I was going to play public. First step, documentation. I took photos of my car, the note, the scratches. Filed a police report, even though I knew nothing would come of it. But I wasn't doing it for justice. I was doing it for the paper trail. Second step, exposure. Remember all those bills I'd saved? Utilities, internet, water, every single one with my name on it. The Venmo requests from Eric and Megan. The screenshots of Linda's guilt texts. And that voicemail from Rick, slurring his words after one too many beers. Son, I don't know what I'd do without you covering everything. You're the only one who keeps this house together. I printed it all, bound it like a report. Then I mailed copies to Rick's boss, to the pastor at their church, to a handful of family friends I knew they liked to brag to. No explanations, just the raw receipts. Let the evidence tell the story. The fallout was nuclear. 2 days later, I got a furious voicemail from Rick. You think you've embarrassed me? You've embarrassed yourself. People are calling me asking if it's true. You ruined my reputation, Alex. Which, of course, was the point. His whole identity was built on being the provider, the respectable family man. Now everyone knew he'd been propped up by the son he called selfish. Linda went on another Facebook spree, posting vague rants about toxic people and false narratives. But the comments weren't siding with her anymore. Too many people had seen the paperwork. Too many people knew. Eric tried to save face by DMing me some tough guy threat. You're dead to us. Hope you're happy destroying your family. But even he sounded small, scared. And Megan? She cracked first. She called me sobbing, not angry this time, but terrified. Apparently their power had been cut again, and without me to quietly swoop in, they were sitting in the dark. She begged for just one more month of help. I didn't yell, I didn't gloat. I just said, ask Dad. He's the provider, remember? And hung up. For the first time, the roles were reversed. They were the desperate ones. I was the one with choices, and it felt damn good. But the sweetest part came a week later, when a neighbor texted me a photo of Rick's house at night, completely blacked out. No lights, no glow from the windows, just a dark shell of a home that used to run on my selfishness. The man who told me I'd regret leaving was now the one living with candles and cold dinners. And me? I was sitting in my warm apartment, lights on, fridge full, car in the shop being repainted, all paid for with my own money, untouched by their chaos. For once, they were the ones in the dark, literally. The last time I spoke to Rick, his voice wasn't angry anymore. It was small. He called from a borrowed number because apparently the cell bill hadn't been paid either. You could have told me, Alex, he said. You could have warned me before you cut us off. I just sat there in silence, staring at the dent he'd left on my car hood weeks ago, the scar still there even after the repaint. Finally, I said the words I'd been holding back since the night he called me selfish. I did warn you. Every month I warned you, by paying the bills you ignored. You just never listened. He started to say something else, probably another guilt trip, but I hung up. Haven't heard from him since. From what I've gathered through neighbors and the occasional social media glimpse, things haven't been good over there. The lights still flicker off every few weeks. Eric had to move back into their basement after getting evicted. Megan dropped out of her lease too and is living off Linda, who's trying to spin it all online like they're embracing simplicity. It'd be funny if it wasn't so damn pathetic. And me? I've never felt lighter. My apartment isn't much, but it's mine. My fridge is stocked. My bills are paid. By me. For me. No silent bleeding from my bank account. No midnight texts begging for help. No guilt dripping down from Rick's disappointed sighs. Just quiet. Do I feel guilty sometimes? Sure, I'm human. When Megan's voice cracked on the phone, part of me wanted to cave, to fix it like I always had. But then I remembered all the years I went without so they could keep living in denial. I remembered Linda's note on my windshield. I remembered Rick shoving me, calling me cruel. And the guilt evaporates. The truth is they needed me. I never needed them. Funny thing is, people warned me for years, friends, coworkers, that my family was using me. I didn't listen because I wanted to believe Rick's version of family. Now I see it clearly. Family isn't who shares your roof or your blood. Family is who respects you enough not to gut you for their own comfort. And if that means my only family is me for now, I'm okay with that. More than okay, because when I flip my light switch at night and the room glows warm, I know exactly who paid for it. Me. And that's enough.